Welcome, everyone, to the very first episode of our new podcast. This is iConvo, where we're having iconic conversations with inspirational leaders, people who are not just doing well in life, but are also doing good in the world, and then sharing their knowledge and their wisdom for all to learn, for all of us to grow together. And today I have the honor and privilege of having two really good friends of mine, the one and only Jason Cisneros, who is the chairman of the board for the Anton J Business Consulting Company, as well as many other companies that he's had throughout the years. He's had some great exits from his companies, and he's hanging out now, working because he wants to, not because he has to. And of course, he's here helping us, helping me, helping you, helping anyone that's in business, working on a business, thinking about getting into business, entrepreneurs, to learn the road ahead, to have that roadmap for business. And as he likes to say, everybody exits their business, but how matters. So his company is built to exit, and he's here with us today. He is again, he's someone who is an incredible businessman. He's an entrepreneur. He's a philanthropist. He does rescues of children and women and anyone who's involved in sex slavery. He goes in and does a lot of that. So by way of introduction, here is the one and only Jason Cisneros. We're also joined by the one and only Brad Korn. He is one of the greatest realtors in this country, out of Kansas City, Missouri. He's also part of the B2X community. He's also one of the strategists that help people to improve their lives, improve their business, really get unstuck, because there's so many people that are in business that are stuck, don't know the road ahead, because they've never been taught, because they've never been shown, because they're at times taking advice from the wrong people. And the one thing I like to share with everyone is that you can't get directions from someone who's never been where you want to go. So with that said, Jason Cisneros on deck. What's up, brother? Good morning.
Man, iConvo, what a great name for a show. We've known each other for a long time. You've added so much value to my life, to my family's life, to the people that are around me. We used to have the Bald Avenger, Misfit Nation. You've been involved in that. We've been friends for a long time, and I'm proud of you for putting together the show. It's going to be epic. The conversations that you and I have, the conversations that I've seen you have with other people, it's going to be very, very valuable for anybody that tunes into this show. So congratulations on your first episode, and it's an honor to be here and be part of it.
Well, I'm glad to have you here again, part of the journey. And, by also is probably important to say that Jason and I met each other at a Tony Robbins event, I don't even know, 10, 15 years ago. And he was working alongside Tony Robbins for many years. And so we have many of the same mentors, including Tony Robbins and Keith Cunningham and all of the brilliant minds there.
Jay Abraham. All the goats.
Yeah, all the goats indeed. And so Jason has been involved with Tony for probably 20 years or close to it. I've been involved with Tony Robbins for 25 years. I'm a trainer with Tony Robbins still actively today. So again, we incorporate a lot of the personal human psychology, practical everyday human psychology, like I like to call it, into our everyday, which is what we should all do. And everybody needs to be a student of that as well. So with that said, we also have Brad. What's up, Brad? Good morning.
What's up, guys? So glad to be here with you all. And I'm just, I know when there's a room and you guys are in it, there's a lot of powerful conversations that come out of it. So I'm just glad to be here. Thanks for having me on your first episode, man.
Well, I'm glad to have you here, and I know that this won't be our last time. You might be joining us as a co-host here. We'll see how that plays along. But of course, Brad, as I mentioned, is an outstanding realtor. And here's something, and again, this isn't just a real estate show, of course, that's just another business. But Brad if you're in real estate, you'll understand the power of this. Brad has sold no less than 100 homes per year for the last 25 or 30 years that he's been in business. He's also the author of the E-Myth, or co-author of the E-Myth for real estate agents, with Michael Gerber, and again, many other things to come. And of course, he's now a strategist as well with Anton J and Jason Cisneros, as am I. So glad to have you on here as well. So let's talk a little bit about business. You know, one of the things that we talk often is that business really is a spiritual game in many ways. And the rules, doesn't matter what business you're in, the rules of the game, the business being the game, understanding the rules of the game are epically important. And oftentimes people get into business not understanding the basic concepts of business. So that's why I brought you today, Jason, and of course Brad, to talk a little bit about that. So tell us a little bit about your background, just a smidge, Jason, as to how you came about creating the Anton J companies.
Well, I was born many, many years ago. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, again, it's the people that are watching your show, you know, I always kind of envision myself like, okay, cool. If I was kicking back, listening to Tony, as I have many, many times over the years, you know, your things, I think what, you know, I watch Tony because not because of the people that are doing self-aggrandizement, but because of the value that they add to decisions I make in my own life. Right. And so my background is the same as everybody else. We all start somewhere. We've all got some shit to deal with. And then we start to apply ourselves according to strategies and principles that that create a successful outcome. Right? You've heard me use the word end game, you know, infinite times, and I think that when you figure out, okay, I'm going to start somewhere, you figure out along the way that there's got to be an end game. Right? What is that end game? And then you can reverse engineer to where you are to build out that process. The greatest tool ever given to humanity is something called being a merchant, a business owner. Today's words, entrepreneurs, right? It's the greatest tool ever given to mankind to be able to write and follow their own stars, right? And so I fell in love with it because I'm a nobody from nowhere. My adopted father went to prison for attempted murder of me and my mom when I was 17. Lots of abuse before that. I started dealing drugs when I was 12. Started, you know, collecting money from people that didn't pay the drugs for their drugs when I was 16, because I'd been fighting a full-grown adult my entire life. And that was where my life was going, you know, and I had a son, I had a son. And when my son was born, it gave me a new perspective because now I wasn't living my life just for me. There was another soul attached. And I decided, weirdly, I guess it's not weird when you believe in Jesus, but at the time it was weird that I don't know where that thought process came from, because everybody in my family was gangsters. Everybody in my family were criminals. You know, everybody that I knew was a criminal. And I'm going, I don't want to be a criminal anymore. Where did that thought come from? You know, and it was for everybody that's watching, and you, Tony, and I know, you know, certainly Coach K, we do things and change our lives, and we go over and above for people, not necessarily for ourselves, but for other people. And that's what happened with my son. Was I didn't want him to live that same lifestyle. So that was the impetus for change for me. And I had incredible mentors. Like, this is what your show is. It's a mentor to people who maybe they don't have the money, or maybe they come across this by accident. I don't think there's any accidents. Maybe they're just traipsing through social media and they see this, and it's a message that they need to hear to say, oh, I have total and complete control over changing my stars, over my life. And that's what business is to me. So greatest weapon ever given to nobodies from nowhere, to be able to create through service, biblical principles, service of other people, to be able to find a group of people, serve them better than anybody else, and in turn be rewarded for that, for me to be able to take care of my own family, right? As we've heard before, right? You help enough other people get what they want, you'll end up getting what you want. So that was kind of my start. And then I got into business, and, you know, here we are all of these years later, and I'm a business nerd. You know me. I love this shit. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's a game. You said it earlier. It's a game. And the scoreboard is the points on the board are how much money you put in the bank. And the theory is that everybody exits. So I want to control that. How matters. I don't want to have an involuntary exit, which is failure. I don't want to have a dictated exit where somebody else is telling me how much my business is worth. I want to have a custom tailored exit. And that's what we built with Built to Exit is now we teach everybody those things, right? On how to custom tailor their exit.
And one of the things to remember is it's not just how much money is in the bank, because business is not, I've had years that I've made a lot of money. And at the end of the year, I'm like, where the hell did it all go? Because it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. And we can get into it on another show, another day, where we can break into some of Keith Cunningham's lessons about spending cash and the 90-day rolling cash and all of that. But again, in business, it's not how much you make, because you can make $1 million, but if you spent $950 to make the $1 million, or you overspend or whatever it is, you find yourself in a tough position, which, by the way, a lot of people do that, right? A lot of companies a lot of people get into business, great idea, and they start making a lot of money real quick, and they start spending money faster than they make it. Only to realize that they can't spend it. You need to reinvest that money back. You can't, just because you made $200,000 doesn't mean you go out and get a $150,000 car. It doesn't mean you go get the $15,000 Breitling or whatever. But you see that happening all the time in business, in all kinds of business, not, everything from the financial industry, real estate, car business, you name it, construction, you name it, and it happens. And you've got to be smart about how you're building this business, and understanding that there's an arc to business, right? There's that infancy stage, right? You're just born, it's a brand new baby, and then you have infancy, and you have toddler, and you have preteen, teenage years. You have all of that. You have to go through this cycle, and again, that might be another great conversation for us to have on another day. We're not going to be able to get into all of that. I just want to really intro this, and again, the reason I wanted to have you on, Jason, as one of the first guests, and Brad as well, is because both of you guys are icons in your own industry. You've done so much. You've had so much success. And the beauty of it is you haven't just had success for you, but you leverage that success to help other people, to help the underserved, to help the people that are struggling. Again, you do the child rescues, and I know you do that several times a year, and I support you in that, and and we're on pins and needles when you're out on a mission, and and then to hear that you were able to rescue 20, 30, 40 children, all of that is incredible. And what made that possible is that little thing you call business, right? The thing that generates the cash that allows you to do the things that you want to do, contribute to the thing, the people, and the mission that is important to you. So,
well, it's a good point, brother, that a lot of people, and you and I've had this discussion multiple times, a lot of people are like, I want to know what keeps you up at night. I want to know what keeps you up at night. I don't want to know what keeps you up at night. I want to know what gets you up in the morning.
Yeah.
I know, like, we've been around, it's 10 years rescuing kids, 20 years in the domestic violence world, and 15 years of feeding people, and 12 years of helping veteran issues, and those kind of things. And it's like, I get up in the morning. It fires me up when my eyes open. I see scenes of 11 to 12-year-old girls being rescued and given back to their families. I see domestic violence. I see women getting teeth put back in their head, and apartments and jobs given to them so that they can take care of their kids. And I see the faces on the kids in Africa eating food and having it a sustainable resource. I see the veterans that are at horse ranches and getting like, that's the shit that gets me up in the morning, because I'm like, oh, I get to go do something that I'm good at, called business, and I have fun at, called business, and that provided me and my family a couple generations down the road enough money to be able to not take shit from anybody and not worry about what anybody thinks about what I'm saying, and to be able to go help these people you know, and be able to do the stuff that I want to do. And all I got to do today is get up and be better than I was yesterday. And it's going to help that another kid. It's going to help another vet. It's going to help another child eat. It's all those things. That's what gets me up in the morning. And it's a fired up, excited. God blessed me. I'm so humbled by the idea that all I have to do is take personal responsibility and serve other people. And for the rest of my life, I get to do something that I love to do with people that I love to do it with and for.
You know, I love that you made that distinction, by the way, because I was going to bring that up anyway. So I'm glad that you opened that up. So depending what you do, even if you don't love what you do, what are you going to do with the outcome of the work that you do? Right? So maybe you don't love whatever, depending what business you're in, construction or finance, banking, stock trading, if it's stressful, whatever it is, look beyond. That's a means to the end, right? And it's important to recognize, you know, have that end in mind. Start with the end in mind in business, that exit strategy, or even if you're not planning an exit in the next 2-3 years, you should also be looking at, okay, well, this year, here's my goal of what I'm going to make, and this is what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to take a trip with my family. I'm going to, you know, provide for them. I'm going to make another home, get another car, whatever it is. But I'm also going to contribute to this mission. I'm going to donate here. I'm going to donate there. So on the days that you don't feel like going to work, don't just look at the work ahead and maybe what you're stuck on or the problem that you're dealing with. Look at what the reason you're doing it. What's your why? And your why isn't to get up and go hang sheetrock. Your why isn't to get up and put a roof on a house or to rebuild an engine or to do another 5 mortgages, sell another 3 homes. Your why is what that leads you to, right? What are you going to do at the end of it? What does that mean? So that's so when Jason, and even when I say it, what gets you up in the morning isn't the fact that you need to get up to go make that paycheck to go satisfy that client. It is, but what's the means to the end of that? What's your why? And I think it's an important part to look at when you're looking at getting into business. Don't just look at the business that I'm going to get a paycheck, I'm going to make money. It's what's the impact that you're going to make, not just in your life, but in the lives of those around you, and the mission or the thing that's important to you. Right?
Tony, this is what I love about crossing paths with you and Jason, and what really led me to even like pursuing being one of the strategists for B2X, because, you know, even though I may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, and I didn't come from a background where my parents were super successful in business or even ever bought a business or owned a business, one thing I did was I listened to the people that had been there before me as I was building my real estate business. And you were talking about money and investing. I knew I had to invest every dollar that I made my first 5 years into branding, marketing, to build an image, to build a business. And I ended up doing that for 8 years, buying billboards, you know, doing marketing, having logos. And one of the things that I love about the alignment with Jason is that we hear the horror stories all the time, and you guys can tell them left and right about the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that you've lost in bad businesses or bad partnerships. And I'm telling you, I kind of guided along the sidelines on my journey, and I haven't had to lose all that to figure things out because I just paid attention to guys like you. And when I saw Jason's very detailed model on it, and some of it's so basic, but you got to get those basics in place. This, what's your why and your vision and your mission, those kind of things, right? You got to get those in place, which I was fortunate enough to do on the front end. And even though I take a lot of risks, I never took risk that looked too risky, or that didn't make sense, or that I couldn't like make a plan before I went through. So I love the fact that I can come into, Jason's got it so detailed in B2X, just follow the steps and go through, and whatever you're doing, you'll end up loving what you're doing when it's actually producing profit and you can enjoy your life and do some things. So that's what I do love about it, is like, I don't get to report the stories. I don't think I could lose $100,000 one time. It would wipe me out all the way. So I've just learned from the best, Jason's got it so detailed in the B2X systems that if you just follow the steps, you can avoid a lot of the things that you don't need to figure out on your own. It's laid out. It's a map, and it's the same map for every single business, no matter what. So that's what I love about the B2X system.
Well, that's something. So it's interesting you say that. For number one, business is a risk. Let's not sugarcoat it. Business is a risk. Getting into business is a risky proposition because, and Jason knows the stats better than I do, but something like 50% of the businesses fail in the first year. Another 50% fail within the next 3 to 5 years, and only what is it? 5% of the businesses actually make it to the 10-year mark, Jay.
So less than 5% ever make it to the 10-year mark. They are, they just don't see a 10th birthday.
Yeah.
And then less, it's 7% of companies that are ever put on the market. Think about how small of an amount of companies that is. And then less than 7% of them ever sell.
Right.
So whatever, and this is part of the whole push behind Built to Exit. Why Built to Exit, after 20 years of doing this, Built to Exit rose to the top of, being a sell side advocate in the marketplace. And because there's not very many. There's plenty of buy side advocacy, and there's plenty of hands in the pockets of business owners who sweat and bled and sacrificed and built a business where finally somebody wants to buy it, but they get their asses kicked. They've got a bunch of people around them putting their hands in their pockets. There's no advocacy. They've never done it before, and the people that are buying businesses, they know what they're doing if they're good.
Well, the people that are looking to buy the business are trying to buy it at the lowest price possible. There's nobody out there advocating for the owner to sell it for the top line of what they can make. And the unfortunate reality is that out of the 7% of the businesses that ever actually get to selling, many of them sell when they're distressed. Many of them sell at the bottom, when they're tired, when they're wiped out, when things aren't good. And that's not the time to sell, right? That's the time
Here's another statistic that'll blow you away, which is of the 7% that do sell, 50% of those fall apart post-close. Okay. Think about that for a second. Post close, because you're like, well, how does it fall apart post close? Well, because if you are a business owner and you aren't controlling price, timing, and terms, that means somebody else does. Oh, I sold my business. Did you? For $100 million. Oh, did you? How much money did you get at closing? Well, they gave me $500,000. And okay, well, what's the terms on the rest of it? Well, I have to carry it. It's owner carry. Oh, so you're lending this person your business. And say, what are the terms of that? Well, I have to meet last year's numbers plus grow it by 25. Oh, so they're actually buying your business from you with your business. Okay, cool. So now you get in and then you go, well, where are you going to be? Like what as the owner of the business, well, I have to be here for the next 5 years. Oh, so you're going to go to business. You're doing all of this work for them. And then they get a year or two down the road and the owner goes, why am I even doing this? And they're like, or they do go away. These new bunch of people came in, they don't know what they're doing and they drive it into the ground and they go, your business sucks. Here's the keys back. Right. So there's so many things that you got to know and to be educated on. What Coach K said that was super important about what we've done at Built to Exit is we've mapped all that out from start to finish. We've mapped it all out based on my experience of selling, well over a couple dozen businesses of my own. My wife and I are currently buying and exiting businesses as we speak. And our consulting firm exists. This Built to Exit exists literally to be a sell side advocacy. I hate bullies. I put, traffickers away. We help domestic violence. Everything that we said, that's a form of bullying. And I think that people in business get bullied, right? And we're there, B2X, as a shield between them and everybody else that wants to put their hands in the pockets of producers. That's why it's there. It doesn't affect my lifestyle. This is very, very unique in the marketplace. It doesn't affect my lifestyle if 8,000 people use B2X or if 0 people use B2X. It's there as a tool for those people who want to actually advantage themselves, come to the realization that everybody exits, build their company to a place where somebody else wants to buy it, and control pricing, timing, and terms. That's why we exist.
Love it. And to back to what Brad had said as well is, and what the one thing I love again, from one of our mentors, Keith Cunningham, is avoid paying the dumb tax. And how do you avoid paying the dumb tax? Is you take advice, you listen, you hire the right people that have been down the road, that have made the mistakes that you've yet to make, but have also seen the successes that you want to see. One of the things I often say is stop taking advice from people you're not willing to switch places with. And that's what so many people do. They turn to their neighbor, to their mother, to their best friend. Well, if they're not in that business, if they're in that business, great. If they're succeeding in that business, great. But if they're not succeeding in that business, if they've never done it, if they've never owned a business, why would you ask somebody business advice from someone who's never owned a business? And by the way, and this is something you've heard me and Brad heard me say 1,000 times, is stop taking business advice from someone who's only ever signed the back of a check. If you've never signed the front of a check, you have no business being a business consultant, because you don't know the terror of being an entrepreneur. You don't know what it's like to write those checks, make those mistakes, and then at the end of the month, there's nothing left for you and for your family. I know people right now that have multi-million-dollar businesses. They're just scraping by. Their employees, their staff are bringing home more money than they are. It's tragic. And yes, I am trying to get them to sign up for B2X so they can learn how to figure that out, because they can't even sell, because their debt load is so high and the profit margins are so slim that they won't be able to sell. But they have an incredible business if they manage it properly. So ultimately, what this show, this iConvo, is having these iconic conversations with business icons, with people that are doing the things that we should all be doing, that are at the top of their game of all different industries, because we're going to be going across different industries. And of course, I'd love to have you, Jason, back on and even maybe do some co-hosting with me, as well as Brad. Brad, I've already invited him to do some co-hosting with me, or maybe be my co-host. We'll see how that goes out. But I am honored to have you guys, both of you, here on the first episode of the iConvo podcast and show. And I look forward to making many more of these. I know that you guys are tight on time, and we're pushing on the half hour, and I want to see if we can wrap this up. But give us some final thoughts, Jason, and we'll go to Brad as well, and then I'll wrap it up.
Let's let Coach K go first.
All right, Brad, you go ahead.
Yeah, I just say, whenever you come to things like these, did you write anything down? Did you take any notes? Did you look at where you're sitting right now and see an action step in here that you need to take? Too many times we do these things, we jump on, we listen to it, and then we just go back to our day. And 6 months from now, a year from now, you're fighting, you've moved along a little bit. This is beyond a 5% increase in sales or a 5% increase in profit, like a lot of people set their business goals as. You can literally double and triple your business every year. Like Jason has shown me, just through everything, actually witnessing him going through a business and doing a deep dive on it and finding, I don't know how many millions of dollars you found in that business we were looking at, that you can double, triple, not only your profit and your income and your enjoyment in your business, but you can actually start to think, wow, I can actually control an exit if I did want to exit. If somebody wrote you a check for $100 million for your business right now, would you take it? You might think about it. So anyway, that's what I love about being a part of everything that we're doing with everything that we're doing with B2X and sharing it here on this podcast with you, Tony.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad. And for those of you that are watching, that was not a ghost next to Brad. Brad is just so cool that he's got a cartoon character. And because he's using his green screen with the B2X, there you go. Look, that's his cartoon caricature. He's got, when he moves, it shows up. It's not a ghost. It's actually Brad as a cartoon, because he's just that cool. One day, maybe Jason will have his own cartoon, and I might even have my own. Who knows?
How do you
Thanks,
know
Brad.
I'm not a cartoon right now.
I don't know. AI, listen, maybe this is all AI to start with.
This
Maybe
is
none of us are real.
AI. Just kidding. Oh, there was a glitch. Damn it.
Anyway, listen.
Jason's over there, in his underwear watching the show.
Well, the real Jason Cisneros, please stand up. Anyway, thank you again, guys, for being here. Thank you if you're watching on the multiple platforms that we're streaming on. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining us for our episode 1 of iConvo, those iconic conversations with business leaders, strategists, again, game changers, influencers, people that are not just doing good in life, well in life, I should say, but they're also doing good in the world. Both of you guys are doing that. I honor you both. Thank you for spending a little time with us this morning, and hopefully you'll be back, and we'll have plenty of more of these shows to share with our audience. Again, thank you for being here. Appreciate you, and we'll see you next time for the next episode of the iConvo. The next episode, I believe we're going to have the one and only Leo Pareja, which is the CEO of eXp Realty, which is the largest real estate company by agent count in the country, fastest growing, and even by production. So look forward to seeing that. I'll be posting some information on that soon as well. So stay tuned. Appreciate you all. God bless.